The UK is struggling more than other similar economies to get prices under control. Eurozone inflation now sits at 8.5%, with the US rate at 6.4%. Julia Chapman, London.
And Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has announced she will stand down 8 years after becoming leader of the nation's government. Ms Sturgeon said in a press conference she had been wrestling with the decision, but that she knew in her head and her heart that it was the right thing to do. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at the mass prisoner release announced by Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Several dozen prominent supporters of the country's opposition protests were released from jail earlier this week, but many thousands more remain detained, some of them facing a possible death sentence for their role in the protests that have threatened Iran's stability following the death in custody last year of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. The limited amnesty is timed to coincide with the 44th anniversary of Iran's Islamic Revolution. Carla Ann Robbins is a senior fellow at the US-based Council on Foreign Relations.
When the announcement first came out on, state news media, it said the Supreme Leader had, quote, agreed to offer amnesty and reduce the sentences of tens of thousands accused and convicted in what it referred to delicately as the recent incidents. And it's not even clear how many of these women's rights protesters, the government is actually holding. The government has never said. The announcement also, was denounced by activists who pointed to the fact that it came with a very long list of caveats. So we really don't know how many of those people they're going to grant amnesty to, whether they're just people who were swept up. We just don't know.
But she says the Iranian government may be feeling more emboldened after repressing many of the demonstrations. The government's politics of repression, she argues, may be working. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says the nation's allies must act quickly in delivering more arms and fresh supplies to its forces. European Union officials, meanwhile, are meeting to discuss a 10th sanctions package against Russia. And Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has resigned as leader of the Scottish Government, saying she knew in her head and heart it was the right decision. That's the latest feature story news. Laura Macon-Isherwood reporting.
Good morning. Here we go. It's KCHW 102.7. Finally Wednesday with Scott and Big Mike Bentz. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. How are you today?
I am doing great.
I was going to say, you've been perky all morning.
I have. Yeah, we got to visit for a little while beforehand.
We did.
All right.
We did. Yeah. And it sounds like you had a nice visit.
I did have a nice visit, and thank you for taking me out for lunch when you couldn't make it.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
all right. You missed the party,
I couldn't
but
make it to the party.
yeah. He couldn't make Mike couldn't make it to the party. What's up with that? All right. You said
we don't want to go into that. It's a deep, dark secret.
Okay. All right. You said it's a nice morning there in Chihuahua.
It is. Yeah, the sun's about ready to come up, and doesn't even look like there's a cloud in the sky, actually. But it is, I'll point out, 19 degrees.
Oh, going to warm up all the way to 39 today, though. Enjoy that. You've got a mix of sun and clouds throughout the day. Partly cloudy tonight, down to 23. Then for your Thursday, a mostly cloudy day, 41 and 28. Only a 10% chance of precip over the next few days and into the weekend. Friday, 42 and 25. Going to melt the rest of the snow away this week, probably. Saturday, 41 and 25, partly cloudy as well. Sunday, cloudy skies, 42 and 29. And right now, next Monday, 42 and 25, mostly cloudy and a 20% chance of precip. So you're kind of holding in this partly to mostly cloudy pattern after you get to enjoy some sunshine today. So very nice.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's going to take a little while, at least at the golf course, because we probably still have a good foot of snow.
Ooh.
It's not. It's not even snow. It's like solid
ice.
Ice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because this, warm during the day, freeze at night, warm during the free, it just, I can get to give you an idea how hard it is. I can walk on it and not fall through.
Ooh, don't slip and fall. All right.
No.
All right.
No.
February 15th, breakfast for the kids today at school. Breakfast stick, celery, fresh fruit juice, and your choice of milk. And then for the lunchtime fare on the 15th, spaghetti with meatballs, breadsticks, string cheese, salad, fresh veggies, carrots, fresh fruit, and again, your milk choice. All right. I guess I don't have anything that's popping up in front of me. Of course, Wednesdays we always get the nonprofit roundup, find out what's going around town from Mike. I was thinking after Winterfest and things might slow down a little bit, and this might be kind of light. But you said you had a lot of information to share today, right?
I really do. I kind of had the same frame of reference you did because it kind of built up to a point, and then, you almost want to back off a little bit. But hey, this is Trujillo. It doesn't know how to back off.
Lots of stuff going on, right?
Lots of stuff going on, yeah.
All right.
So I'll just start with Winterfest and kind of give you, kind of the high level overview of what I've learned, because unfortunately I was out of town at Winterfest, and you were with your daughter for her birthday.
Yeah, I was sad about missing that. I really wanted to catch the Skajoring and the Rail Jam, and a couple people said, "Oh, you're going to be in Washington. Will you be broadcasting?" And when you got a kid turning 18, your daughter, that kind of takes precedence. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm moving to Montana. Is family, is at the top of the list. So. But anyway, the Winterfest, I was fortunate enough to be at a kind of a recap meeting last week, and overall, it got very high marks. I mean, for a first-time out event that's dependent upon the weather and literally hundreds of volunteers, I think they did a great job. And the whole point of doing these recap meetings is to come back and figure out, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to change next time, because it's going to be a signature event. And just off the top of what I remember, they figure that depending on where you were and during the day, between the Skajoring, the Rail Jam, and then the concert in the evening at the Civic Center, there were somewhere between 700 to 900 people attending. Actually, Justin Schramm of Omni Gaming goes around and he does a head count. And he does that for a couple of reasons. One is to figure out, is it working? The other one is a lot of the grants and everything you apply for, they want to know what happened. Skajoring was a huge hit. In fact, from what I understand, a couple of people that participated after the practices went over to Whitefish, and they have their national championships there. They went over there and they skied in the national championships. So they're definitely got people hooked on it. It'll be a very, I think personally, a huge draw. I've got a cousin that did that for years out of Belgrade, Montana, which is basically Bozeman, and it is actually a circuit that people go on. Hopefully we'll get added to that circuit.
Wow.
The person that used as their advisor is, and forgive me, his name's Cody. I can't remember his last name, but he became the 5-time gold champion for Skajoring. And he's going to continue on as the advisor as they build that out for Winterfest. So, and to my knowledge, it's the only one in the state of Washington.
Very cool.
So it'll be very, very cool from that standpoint. And then we move over to Rail Jam, and huge thank you to 49 Degrees North, because they sponsored that. And then Dawson Trucking trucked in a bunch of snow for it. They've been collecting snow over by the fire station for it as we've got it through the winter, but it's always nice to have some fresh snow on top of it. And all I can see is I've seen some of the videos off of it, and the people that jump up on a snowboard to ride down a metal rail, and then at the end come up and try to do flips off of like a bunker or a hill, are, I'll be nice, they're touched. I just looked at that and I'm thinking, man,
Nope.
The skill to be able to do that's unreal. And then one of the things that Eric and Greg and the people who are in charge talked about, next year, they are going to have like a mini rail jam for kids off to one side, or a sledding hill or something similar to that. So And one of the things I had to kind of chuckle at, they made it through the whole day. And if you think of skijoring, which is somebody being towed by a horse that does ski jumping on an oval, rail jam, which, you got these people that jump up on a metal rail and ride it down and do all kinds of acrobatics. And then you have this phenomenal concert in the evening. Nobody got hurt.
Not
I
one
love that.
siren, huh?
Yeah, they loved that. They opened up the meeting and said the first thing, Justin said, the first thing I want to point out is nobody got hurt.
Yay.
So, but I know from a creative district perspective, we were doing the public mosaic where people come in and there's a background of quartzite basically, and people could pick a tile and color in that tile of what they thought of Chihuahua. That we ended up out of the 144 tiles that had to get done, 117 of them were completed. And so we'll finish that out this coming weekend with the Arts Guild, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The Arts Guild was with us, and they were very pleased because, they do that community quilt where people come in and they take the squares and they pin it, and then eventually they sew it all together and use it as a fundraiser. They were pleased. The Rusty Putter was inside the Huff Cultural Center, and then actually a vendor out on the street. They were very, very, very pleased too. So overall, other than a few, I think, in my opinion, minor things that need to be kind of tuned up, Winterfest was a huge hit.
Cool.
And it sounds like there were a fair number of people that came in from out of town, which is one of those things you want.
Yeah.
It just brings kind of new blood, new money into the community. I know that Justin said Sporties was slammed, Fired Up Pizzas was slammed, the vendors were slammed. Overall, it was a phenomenal event. And the only downside is, the temperatures got up around 35 to 40 degrees. And, that has a tendency on the snow to melt it a little bit.
Make it a little slippery.
But other than that, yeah. Congratulations to Michelle and Williams and Justin Schramm, because they really coordinated and put that thing together. And then all the people that supported them as far as getting it done. So it definitely is going to be a signature event. And I don't know if you still get the Independent or not, Scott.
I need to renew my subscription. So
yeah, last week Kat Brooks did most of the photography on that. There was like 2 or 3 days page full layout of the various events, and so did a great job. So congratulations on the Winterfest.
So by the time I get the paper, it's a week late. That's the problem.
Well, I'm going to continue getting the paper as we move to Kalispell for two reasons. One is we're going to see how the radio show is 2 remotes, basically. And then the other one is, Loretta and I have loved this community. And so it's one of the ways to keep in touch. And I've said this 100 times, but the Independent is probably one of the best weekly newspapers, if not in the United States, in the world. They do a phenomenal job. So kudos to them too.
And what's funny is there's a lot of people that live outside of Chihuahua that still, have moved away, that still get the newspaper as a way to stay in touch. And I've even gotten donations for different things out of that from people out of the area that still receive the paper and would then even go on and support the public radio station. So it's really cool. Really cool.
That says a lot. It says a lot to you and the radio station, but it also says a lot to the type of people that have lived here or do currently live here, as far as a strong community. Yeah. So, yeah, that says a lot. So anyway, I'll move into my little list here. Let's start with the chamber. The first thing is there's a new administrator for the chamber. Her name is Christina. I don't know if you had a chance to meet her while you were here last week, but I met her on Friday, and all I can say is look out. She's a fireball of activity. How's that sound?
All right, go get her.
Go get her. And I loved her introduction she made at the chamber meeting. She says, I'm one of 13, so I'm used to having to argue to get what I want. So very organized, great skill set from the digital marketing side. And she'll just be she is a great addition as far as the chamber's concerned. So welcome aboard, Christina.
All right.
And if you wouldn't hurt to stop by and just say hi. And Her and her husband still live in Colville, but they're looking at moving down to Chihuahua, because there again, she just loves this community. The next thing is chamber bucks. Me and my chamber bucks.
Oh, yeah.
So just to remind people, they can go in and see Christina now from Tuesday through Friday from basically 9 to 2. And you can purchase chamber bucks, which means that if you've got somebody you want to reward or a gift or just you feel like you want to give some money out to local businesses, the chamber bucks are redeemed at about 40, I think, businesses, and it's 100% offset. So if you go in and give Christina $100 for $100 worth of chamber bucks, that full $100 is spent with whoever you want to spend it on that list. And what I mean by there's no discount or premium. So $100 is worth $100, basically. I think it's a great program. The golf courses utilize it. The Rusty Putters utilized it. I personally utilized it as an easy way to reward somebody locally and then support the local community at the same time. Home and Garden Show. The Home and Garden Show is coming up on March 25th. It'll be from 10 to 3. Currently, the spots are being taken, and it is going to be at Guest Elementary. And so, as you and a lot of people are aware, it fills in fast. The spots are pretty limited on the inside because they just use the gym. And I know that Christina's been pretty aggressive in contacting everybody that was there last year and saying, hey, do you want a spot? Blah, blah, blah. And to me, if you're brand new to the area, it's one of the best ways to get introduced to some of the businesses that are in the community. I kind of tongue in cheek chuckle about this, but I don't think I've ever been to a home and garden show where I haven't gone and seen Paul or Carmen Hartel for something. So, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, you just went away.
I did.
Oh, okay. So the home and garden show is coming up on the 25th, and they're already starting to fill in the slots. And if it's anything like last year, the outside parking lot will be full of a variety of different things at the same time. Let's see. I think, and just to remind people, I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but citywide cleanup is going to come up. It's usually the Saturday before. I believe it's a Saturday before Earth Day, but don't quote me on that. So there'll be more coming on that. It's a huge community event that the chamber sponsors to get people out and clean up the city after winter, because as you're well aware of, sand's put down and all kinds of things for the wintertime. And then the citywide garage sale is going to come up. And that's always the first Saturday in May.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
And back to the at Guest Elementary with the home and garden show. One thing that always stuck in my head one year when I was broadcasting from there, one of the contractors told me at the end of it that if he was able to get to turn 75% of the leads he got that day into jobs, which he said everybody that he saw was really serious, he would be busy for the entire summer. So along with what you're saying about if you're new in town and stuff too, it's a really, especially for contractors, an excellent way to generate business if you need it.
Well, and the nice thing about here, and I'll talk about the contractors a little bit, one of the home shows I went to, I was actually looking for somebody to do some work internally in the house. And the contractor said, I just can't get to it. I'm booked out like you wouldn't believe. But here, call this guy, and if you're new to the community, you don't know who this guy is.
That's true.
So they're not they're really pretty open to referring out the business. I know the Rusty Putter and the golf course are there, and we've always been pleased with it. It's more on the Rusty Putter side than the golf course side. But, it's been a great way to introduce our new menus, to introduce our new personnel, introduce some of the new things that are coming up this year. I just spend some time to stop by. That's all I could say. I mean, it'll be well worth your time to spend an hour or two at the home show. In fact, it's so popular that the chamber was getting calls about a month ago, wanting to know, when is it? How do I sign up? I mean, that type of thing. So people actually have it on their calendar. So that's all out. So you can get that taken care of. So if we move over to the Chihuahua Center for the Arts, I was hoping maybe they slow down a little bit, but that's not the case.
Okay.
So, I think the Chihuahua Center for the Arts has decided that, we couldn't do anything there for about 18 months, so we're going to make it up for lost time. So the first thing out of the box is we have Love Lies and the Doctor's Dilemmas, which our own Chuck Ritchie stars in.
Yes.
That's coming up for the final performances this weekend, and 5 p.m. on Saturday, and I believe 5 p.m. on Friday, and then the 7 p.m. on, I believe, Saturday. So you can go on the website and purchase tickets, or you can kind of run the lotto and see if there's any available at the door.
Yeah, and I know there might be some confusion there too, because of a minor COVID outbreak, they had pushed performances down for a week. So that's why this weekend show is happening. It would have, in normal circumstances, been over by now. But
Right.
and I'm not quite sure what they've done with tickets that people might have bought for that first weekend, or how they've worked that out. So if you had tickets for that first weekend and you haven't figured it out yet, give them a call and find out what's happening there, because they have bumped it back a weekend, which kind of helps with the hype and gives everybody another shot to maybe see the show that might have missed it. So
Yeah. Well, and there were two schools of thought, because the Winterfest happened on the opening day,
Yeah.
or the second day, and there were two schools of thought. There were a lot of people in town, and then they had another activity to do that evening, and then the other one was, man, if we're busy all day, I'm not quite sure I want to do something in the evening.
sure.
And so to me, it actually gives people another opportunity to take a look at it. So show up, and from what I've heard anyway, from actually Chuck Ritchie, is it's worth going to just to watch him.
Of course.
And I won't go any further, except it involves something like jumping through windows or something. So anyway,
Fun.
I'll take it from there.
I heard he
Yeah.
gets to kiss a girl too, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. All right. Well, then we move over to stage time, and SpongeBob the Musical is coming up at the end of March. So actually the 31st of March, if people want to put that on their calendar. And then we move over to Park Avenue Players. They're starting the 1st of March on the 6th and 7th. They're going to be looking auditions for the musical 9 to 5, which will be coming up towards the end of May. And then actually, I'm working my way down here, and then you go look at, next would be the Chihuahua Arts Guild. Coming up this weekend is the Community Art Show, which is 17th from 1 to 5, 18th from 1 to 5, and the 19th from 12 to 3. And that's always fun. That was another one of the signature events that Loretta and I went to after we got here, to get a better feel of what the community is all about. It'll be in the Civic Center, to get that out there. And the Creative District's going to be there on Friday to finish out the mosaic. So if you didn't have a chance to get the Winterfest, or you didn't get a chance to go in and pick out one of the tiles and do some artwork on that tile, then stop by on Friday from 1 to 5, because the table will be set up and the people that volunteer to get that done will all be there. So we'd like to get that mosaic finished out, and then once it's completed, the way it's going to be mounted, because right now the tiles just lay on a board, and then it'll be framed, and then at that point we're going to figure out some kind of a traveling art show, where it'll be at one location and then another location throughout the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, the Chihuahua Creative District. Can't forget that. The Spotlight Gallery will fire back up on first Thursday, which is the 2nd of March this year. And we're in the process of putting the artists together for that. And then let's see. March will be our fundraising drive to finish out our grant that we got for the capital grant from the state of Washington. We've got one more mural to do, and then the prototypes of the signs for the, or sign, I should say, for the Creative District for the Flowery Trails being presented to the City Council. I do not believe they did it this week. I think it's going to be at the next City Council meeting where they're going to, Rich LaHoo has gone through and approved the location. Now it'll be up to the Creative District to give the City Council some different options of what we think we're going to do for the signage. And it'll be on the Flowery Trail. You know where you come down the Flowery Trail where that big sign is that's got the City of Chewela on it and the service clubs and things.
Yes.
That's where it'll be located. There's a big space there that the cities said we can go ahead and use upon approval. Oh, let's see. Oh, downtown strategies. That's the revitalization initiative that's been taken on by the city and the chamber. That's moving forward. I actually have a meeting tomorrow to make because I'm with the tourism promotion team, and our goal was to come up with 4 festivals that the city can get behind and the various organizations get behind on an annual basis and get those on the calendar. And then that's the first year goal. And then the second through third year goal is things like funding and branding and, stuff like that. So that should be finalized, I hope, tomorrow. And then there'll be 3 presentations in March, 1 to business owners, 1 to the city council, and 1 to the public. And we're going to, once those dates have been established, but once we get the times established and the locations, there'll be a lot more on that, so people can have some input, because these are front-facing public festivals that are going to be signature events for Chewela. So,
and their first time events too this year.
And their first time events, yeah. No, a couple of them, Winterfest and Fall Fest, have already happened. Those, but there's 2 more, and until tomorrow, I'm next week. Stay tuned. I'll announce what they are. How's that sound?
Okay.
But I can tell you that both of them are going to be fun. Lots of fun. So, and then one of the 49 Degrees North was gracious enough to donate 10 of the old ski lift chairs on the lift that they took down to the city of the Creative District. And the first ski chair was actually delivered to the high school, the industrial arts program, this last week. And so they're going to build the prototype of how it's going to be mounted. And there'll be 10 of them placed throughout the city. And all that will come to fruition within the next 30 days as far as where they're going to be, what they're going to look like. And then, of course, that's going to take funding. So they've already identified some funding for them to get that. By the end of this coming year, I think you'll see those around the community.
So the high school kids get to do that as part of their class, getting to fix those up and turn them into benches?
Exactly.
That's very cool. All right.
Yeah. Sherry Lundstrom was instrumental in that. And fortunately, Brad Schaefer and I had grabbed 2 of them before the snow started flying up there. And I had a couple of them in storage. So we were able to get those over to the high school way earlier than we would have been able to if we had to wait till the snow met. So one of them's there. And Whit Baker's, working with the high school students as far as he's already got a design in mind and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of the hands-on thing, and it's going to be in the metal shop and welding. And he was actually, when I was there, he was talking about the welding program, and it's actually been fairly successful with the high school. Right. So they're looking forward to it. So that's working on that side. Let's see, yesterday at the Tri-County Economic Development District has got an initiative going for the branding of Northeast Washington. And yesterday at a meeting that I attended, they've picked the firm that's going to do the destination development. And once their board approves that, there'll be we'll get Shelley Stevens on to talk about it. As far as what a student for the local area, but it has to do with the branding and the whole goal behind it is to come up with a common theme brand for the geographical area that can be leveraged. So it can be leveraged into the chamber, it can be leveraged into a business, could be, leveraged in to a city if they so choose. Um, so that's to me a pretty exciting project.
All right.
Because one of the things that they did to get there was what they call an asset inventory. And what they mean by that is what does Northeast Washington offer? And I was part of that inventory, and I've seen that the completed, and it's like 140 things that you could do tomorrow.
Yay.
And I loved one of the comments yesterday that Shelley made a comment. There are people that were born and raised here that didn't know they had certain things in this area. So it's rich in culture, rich in arts, it's rich in industry. It's unreal. And so that's all being pulled together over the next couple of years, basically, because it's a huge project. And like most things around here, you have limited funding, you got really good people in charge, so it'll get done, and then a volunteer core basically that helps get it done. So it's I'm pretty excited about that. And then let's move on to the Rusty Putter at the golf course. You could theoretically still cross-country ski up here.
Enough snow yet, huh?
But it'd be a little fast. So if you want to cross-country ski and come up, or a snowshoe, there's plenty of snow on the course, and the course has not been closed as far as that goes. And then Rusty Putter is open. This is off season, so it's open Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Friday from 8 in the morning till 7. Saturday, same hours, and then Sunday from 8 till 3. And they run specials every weekend. So, this last weekend they kind of had a Valentine's theme, and just visiting with Sean and Brittany, Saturday ended up being pretty well sold out as far as that goes. So, that was another thing. I don't know if you have noticed on Facebook, but there's been a lot more activity from local businesses on the digital marketing side, promoting what they have and what they can do. And one of the things that is, to me, enlightening a little bit too, and a lot of this is the Downtown Strategies Initiative working on it, is getting the businesses to open up a little bit later in the evening, 1 or 2 days a week. You have to tiptoe into that, because it's fairly expensive to stay open when there's nobody walking through the front door.
Yeah.
And
trying to get rid of that kind of thought process that the sidewalks roll up at 7 or 8.
Yeah, and one of the things that Downtown Strategies pointed out was don't sink or swim this thing. Kind of the festivals are a good example. If you've got 4 strong festivals that make it conducive to people staying open later in the evening, that's a great start. And that was the other thing too. Getting back to the festivals, the committee or the team that I'm working on elected not to really do anything from Winterfest until late July, because there are so many things going on in Chewelah that we felt a large festival would distract from the many good things that go on. So one of the recommendations we're going to make is almost like a summer concert series, but it'd be like a summer activity series of, the paragliders and the bike tours. And it's just unreal, the total number of things that people can do in Chewelah, and given pretty much every weekend and even sometimes during the week. So, I'm one of those things to me is almost feeling guilty I'm leaving because I can't take advantage of all the things that are coming. But then we've already made the decision that, we're going to be like, that relative you like to see but get rid of on an occasional basis throughout the year. So we'll be coming over here and spending 3 or 4 times a year, I think, probably visiting Chewelah. So.
All right. Rotate that through your friends so you don't burn any of them out.
That's true. So other than that, you always come up with something I missed. What did I miss?
I don't see anything that you missed today. I was really worried about letting people know there is another weekend of the play, and you covered that. And that's, I didn't have a lot. So there you go. You did a good job.
Okay.
Round of applause for Mike Vance keeping us updated on city events. Whoop, whoop. All right, time check. It's KCHW Chihuahua 7:55. Before we go to break, a few news headlines, maybe a little fun. Are you okay with that, Mike?
I'm okay with that. Fire away.
All right, balloons, balloons, balloons. I heard the funniest joke yesterday. It said the Chinese weather balloon had avoided our new weapon to destroy the balloon, which was the Seattle Space Needle. Oh, brum bump. I thought that was kind of cute. All right.
I saw a mime the other day. It was like an F-16 flying with push pins instead of missiles.
And that's a meme, buddy.
Meme, I'm sorry.
A mime's
okay.
that guy that, yeah.
Okay.
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 All right. All right.
See, I'm not above being correct.
All right. Look at you. China said Wednesday it's going to take measures against the U.S. entities related to the downing of their suspected Chinese spy balloon off the American East Coast. At a daily briefing, Foreign Minister spokesman Wang Wenbin gave no details and did not identify the targets of the measures, but I guess this is kind of pushback from us going after some Chinese companies who made parts in these balloons. China says the balloon was an unmanned weather airship that was accidentally blown off course and accuses the U.S. of overreacting and bringing it down with a missile fired from an F-22 jet. The thing they don't address is why so many off-track weather balloons.
Exactly.
And Americans really want to know more. I haven't seen it online about the one that was a cylinder. That one almost could be maybe UFO-ish, just a cylinder floating up in the sky.
Yeah. Well, I saw that little snippet of the White House briefing. It says, this is not extraterrestrial, and we do not believe it was alien. So,
but then just, months ago and a couple years ago, they had big releases from the government saying that there could be alien spacecraft. And here's some pictures. We caught of some. We don't know what they are. So now we're back to Roswell.
Exactly.
U.S. House of Representatives subsequently voted unanimously to condemn China for a brazen violation of U.S. sovereignty and efforts to deceive the international community through false claims about its intelligence collection campaigns. Taiwan came forward and said, yeah, they've been sailing balloons over us forever. So they're obviously marking geography, potential target sites, infrastructure, that kind of stuff, which is scary because they're planning for something in its appearance. So,
yeah. Well, and maybe part of it's psychological too.
Yeah, very well could be.
Yeah.
Because much like Russia, they're very into deceptive news tactics. That's why they keep like what we would call the mainstream news out of their countries, because they don't want their people to know. It's much like North Korea. But just even a larger extent to keep the people in those countries believing falsehoods. It's to me it's like we were only a step away from it. If Trump could have ever taken control of the media, it would have been the same thing. We would have only heard what he wanted us to hear, and that's a scary thing. We need those choices out there to get our information from, because it's so hard to determine what's real and what's not anymore.
Right.
All
yeah.
right.
I mean, it used to be, at least when I grew up, there was a huge trust in the media. I mean, the Walter Cronkite, David Brinkley's of the world.
It's been eroded badly.
It's been eroded really, really badly. And so to the point now where, I read a lot. And so then you try to decipher what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. It's no longer truth or untruth. It's what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, but which is unfortunate. And I don't see that turning around because of the information and misinformation quantity that's out there.
And the unwillingness of some social platforms to try and come up with some kind of proof-checking system. They have been in place. They haven't worked very well. And then you have like Twitter just dropping it all and turning itself into a free-for-all. It's really scary what can get out there to people. So.
Oh, and yesterday when I was in this meeting, Brandon Hansen was in this meeting, and he was talking about Chat AI from Microsoft.
Yes, giving false answers.
Well, and he said, you got to be really careful, because he said, I went in there and he says, I could type in Chihuahua Golf Course and it'll automatically write like a 500-word article. I mean, it just pulls all this information together and writes the article, but then you have to still proof the article, you know?
What I read
And
is they will take all sorts of information and make its own opinion about it and actually embellish.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, he didn't talk about that, but what he did talk about was the information not necessarily is true. Like he said, in this case, the golf course was established in 1961 or something like that, and it wasn't. You know, it was 20 years later. But that to me is almost scary.
It's only as good as the information it's pulling from, and if that information is flawed, it's going to repeat flawed information. So, yeah, it is.
Exactly.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it will grow into something else. They say 7 years till a singularity when AI is smarter than us.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Support among the American public for providing Ukraine weaponry and direct economic assistance has softened as the Russian invasion nears a grim one-year milestone. This is according to a new poll that just came out from the Associated Press. 48% say they favor the U.S. providing weapons to Ukraine, so almost half. 29% opposed, 22% undecided. In May 22, less than 3 months into the war, 60% of U.S. adults said they were in favor of sending Ukraine weapons. So that's dropped now down to 48%, but still most people are in favor of it. Americans are evenly divided on sending government funds. It's because we're always scared about giving away money. 37% in favor, 38% opposed, and 23% saying undecided. Signs of diminished support for Ukraine come as President Joe Biden is set to travel to Poland next week to mark the first anniversary of the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. Let's see. Joe Hernandez, 44, of Rockland, California, said, I'm sympathetic for Ukraine's situation, and I feel badly for them, but I feel like we need to first take care of priorities here at home. And, of course, we have so many of those stacking up against our country now. All right.
Yeah.
Little warning. Don't pack that gun into the hospital. A man just passed away a couple days ago of a gunshot wound after the MRI scanner, he was in there watching his mother's procedure, pulled the weapon, because it's a giant magnet, folks, pulled the weapon from his waistband, hit the machine, and fired and killed him. So,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, there's your Darwin moment, right?
Exactly.
On the scary side, staff writers, let's see, at The Week, pulled out a bunch of quotes and stuff from former President Trump and came up with some startling statistics and quotes from Trump on whether he would bring in firing squads, hangings, and even the guillotine if he should win in 2024. This is kind of scary. I read on in the story, and he's actually said these things. I read on in the story where he was very pro-execution, and that in his 4-year presidency, he had more people executed than the government has in the past half a century, all in his presidency. I had missed that one. I didn't know he was that into the death penalty.
Yeah, I think, I just don't follow. Yeah, I mean, there's the credibility's out the door on that. But I don't think the president really has any, as far as the death penalties are concerned, those are more state driven. I mean, there's a federal level for sure, but I think those are more state driven. So, but it's there again, it gets back into what we started talking about.
What's true and what's not. Yeah,
exactly.
And you got magazines in the mix too. Who knows how that reporting going? It said, like, one of the quotes here says, Rolling Stone had previously reported Trump has ended his first term by executing more than 4 times as many convicted prisoners in his final 6 months in office as the federal government had killed in total over the prior half century. Did they do their due diligence researching that? You don't know.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Well, and 4 times could be 1 to 4.
Yeah, they don't give you any numbers there to actually quantify that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Annual ice fishing tournament in Vermont's Lake Champlain was called off at the last minute over this past weekend after 3 men fell through the ice during abnormally warm weather. Organizers of the 43rd Annual Islands Ice Fishing Derby announced in Facebook Saturday morning the weekend events was canceled due to the condition of the ice. Event was shut down after the Grand Isle County Sheriff's Department issued a request for it to be canceled effective immediately. They said as they had asked anglers already out on the ice to clear the area. Let's see. The cancellation came after 3 people fell through the ice, including 2 brothers who fell through hours before the event was called off. That's going to probably cause some lawsuits for the people which is sad for the people that
organize it.
Organize that. That's kind of one of the dangers.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that even on the Winterfest is that's a huge discussion. Even the Creative District is how do you insure yourselves?
Especially if somebody gets hurt in one of those events.
Somebody gets hurt. And like the Creative District, I just blew away the arts, Annette Roth at the Arts Commission, but we went to get insurance for the Creative District because anytime you do public facing art, you also have a liability, and it can be from anywhere. And between the liability insurance, the directors and officers insurance, and we found out that this year we have to get event insurance. It's $2,500 a year.
Yeah, it really adds up. And if you don't do something like that, you're hanging out there. It's like the corn maze that always went out in the valley in Spokane. Somebody died at the corn maze. No more corn maze. Did they lose their farm over it? Were they properly insured? The mud bogs that used to happen in Valley. Somebody died out at the mud bogs in a rolled over vehicle event. Mud bogs are over. It can end your event, and if it's an event put on by private people or a business that started up, a round of event, you could bankrupt yourself. If you're not protected. So some dangers there. New danger from a new virus. It's called the Marburg virus. This is in Equatorial Guinea. Confirmed first 9 deaths from the Marburg virus, a highly infectious disease similar to Ebola, with health authorities currently examining a further 16 suspected cases. The WHO has declared the country's first ever epidemic of the disease after samples were verified by a laboratory in Senegal. The agency said it was sending medical experts to help officials in the country stop the outbreak and was sending protective equipment for hundreds of workers. It is the 3rd separate West African country to report a Marburg case in 3 years, with the virus detected in Guinea in 2021 before a larger outbreak hit Guyana last year. The 2004 outbreak in Angola saw the virus kill off 90% of the 252 people. They say it does have an 88% mortality rate. It is a hemorrhagic fever with the virus from the same family, as I said, as Ebola. It can be transmitted by exposure to mines in caves inhabited by Rhotesis bat colonies, which carry the pathogen, which can be transmitted, it looks like, to all mammals. So very bad one from caves. All right. I remember one time I got cut inside of a very damp cave on the cave wall, and I was very, very worried about what kind of pathogen I could have picked up from underneath the earth. I mean, I was really thinking about, did I get cave fungus inside me now? Yeah. All right. All right. And we'll wrap up news headlines with a little question for you. I saw this story, and it was Boomer's Remorse, and it was the top 5 big money purchases you're probably really going to regret during retirement. I'm going to name them, and you tell me if it's true, since you used to be a financial advisor, if you agree with it. Regular lavish travel was 1. The dream home, 2. A luxury car, boat, or RV at number 3. Too much help for your kids at number 4. And number 5, a second home. So going into retirement, do you think those can be dangerous? Or, I mean, what would you look at if you were thinking of doing one of those?
Well, I think it gets back to it depends.
Depends how much money's in your bank? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you from my observation over 35 years, the one that got people in the most problems was buying the dream home after they retired and having to remortgage it.
Ooh.
In other words, they didn't have the money to do it because I think that it's such a large fixed asset with so many dollars that it takes just a big chunk. I mean, and even if you have, say, $10,000 a month in retirement income, if you buy a dream home and you're not paying cash or a substantial amount of money down, if you're paying $3,000 or $4,000 a month in a mortgage payment, think how that affects your quality of life or your lifestyle. I'd say that's the number one thing I saw people get into trouble, especially, well, I won't say especially, but if they strove for that but didn't plan for it, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people at the point they retire, they would get a lump sum. And let's say that they had a 401k that had $500,000 in it and they retired. Now all of a sudden they're not used to having $500,000. And so the psychological issues of how do I manage this money aren't there, or they don't look at longevity. Because, I'm a great example. I'm 72, and based upon mortality tables, I'm easily going to live another 10 years because I've made it past 60 or made it past 65. Well, if you didn't have the resources to account for inflation, that's an issue. And then the other thing of it is, if I buy that dream home and I pull that money out of that retirement account to do that, the IRS doesn't care. You're still going to pay tax. And so, you could easily pay 20% of it in taxes. And so now all of a sudden that dream home costs you 20% more if you think of it in those terms. So I'd still
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I bet you there's a lot of people suffering right now because of our hyperinflation that had this idea, okay, we're going to retire and we're going to have X amount of dollars coming in every month. And now those dollars are only getting them 2/3 the distance that those dollars got them 2 years ago.
Well, and actually I just read an article on that, and you're absolutely right. The erosion of your purchasing power is unreal. They say groceries as an average have gone up 10% over the last year. And so, so your choices on groceries, if you do that, is to figure out how do you spend less or eat less. I mean, you really don't have any choice. Or you rob Peter to pay Paul. You take that money from somewhere else. I mean, utilities, that's a big deal. I mean, we got our utility bill for the month of January, and even though it was cold, I mean, you got to keep it was colder than normal. It was 20% higher than it was a year ago.
Everything's that way. Yeah.
Everything's that way. So easily, the good way of looking at it is if you run 6% inflation over, if you take what they call the rule of 72, so you take 72 and divide it by 6, then that says every 12 years you're going to have twice the amount of money to have the same lifestyle.
And I think a lot of people probably didn't account for that in their retirement plan.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of the hidden tax, for lack of a better term. And then some people say, well, the older I get, the less active I'll be, so there'll be more discretionary dollars available. Well, the irony is, if you're in decent health, the older you get, the activities shouldn't actually, and they don't decrease that much. I mean, because
unless
that's one of the reasons you're in good. Yeah, that's one of the reasons you're in good health is because you're still active. That type of thing.
Wow.
And then the other thing, just talking from a retired standpoint, that even as a financial advisor, that surprised me was the pure cost of medical. And I'd planned for X amount of dollars on a monthly basis to offset insurances and deductibles and all that stuff. And I can tell you within the first maybe 5 years or 6 years, that number was woefully too low. And it's a combination of increasing medical costs and increasing deductibles and then increasing premiums. And so it's kind of.
And if you're in a rental situation, add that on top of the pile too. If you've retired and you were going to rent the rest of your life rather than trying to maintain a home, or even if you did something like, okay, we're going to live in a mobile home park. I know some people will make that choice so they don't have to worry maybe about lawn maintenance or property taxes and that kind of stuff. And now you look around the country and average price of a place to stick your mobile home is like $700, $800 a month, when it used to be $200. So that's so many unplanned things.
Exactly. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we live longer. The generation prior to me, if they made it to 65, in a lot of cases, that was considered, a really long life. And in my life, if you don't make it to 75, there's something that's wrong with you. I mean, so, and it's just, and I think a lot of people, just from a personal standpoint, I knew that once I retired, based on observations, that Loretta and I had to stay active. And so frankly, it costs money to stay active.
So is there any hope if somebody's in that situation? Can you, where their retirement just doesn't end up keeping up and they're looking at having to go to work, back to work or something horrible like that? Any ideas of what they can do? I mean, is it a good idea, let's say, if your house is paid off, to flip that and get the cash or not?
Well, there's no blanket answer to that. The problem is even if you sell your house, you still need to live somewhere. So unless you're really downsizing, the odds are no. Because as you pointed out, rents go up, and sure, you may not have the maintenance, but you still have the maintenance. It's built into your rent payment. So I think the best thing people can do is just look for part-time employment where they love what they're doing. I mean, I ran into somebody the other day that's a school bus driver, and they love kids. And so, it's part-time employment that gives them a certain amount of income stream to do things. But more importantly to them, they like being around kids. It keeps them young, is what she told me.
Mm.
So, I mean, stuff like that. I talked to somebody the other day that actually works for the local hospital on a part-time basis that had retired and wanted something to do. And, as long as you can be flexible, there's a fair amount out there somebody could do. And you're really not taking employment away from somebody on a lot of these flex time type positions, because you've got the luxury of having a retirement income of some kind subsidizing you so you can afford to do the flex time type things. I talked to Jason's parents. I mean, he would love to have a lineup of people at the door that want to be substitute teachers. And it's surprising to me the number of people that could do that don't do that.
I have a friend that's subs, and she says, I'm working full time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
well, and they get, I think, about $150 a day.
Wow.
When they do that. So it's not a small income by any means. But there's such a dire need for those. I mean, in that particular environment, I think in healthcare, education, and even, I was visiting with a guy from the Forest Service yesterday. They're having a hell of a time finding people to fill part-time positions for the summer. I mean, things like trailhead guides and stuff like that, which when I grew up, or maybe you grew up, those were sought after positions, for summer employment. And they just can't find the bodies basically to do that. And those all pay well. Those jobs all pay well. So, and so I think there's opportunities if you have the health to do it and the mental capacity to do it, that you can take a look at. And then volunteerism. I mean, you might not get paid for it, but you really do get paid for it, frankly.
You do.
I mean, I'm a big believer in that. So.
All right. Thank you. Little talk with Mike Bentz there on retirement finances. Thank you, Mike. All right. I think we're going to go to break. We got to thank our sponsors. We'll deliver some news when we come back. It's part 2 of your morning show, and that's got all the fun stuff in it, where we'll do trivia with Mike, odd news, and a little bit more, but you have to stay right here. KCHW 102.7 Chewelah.
It's 8 20.
Your KCHW morning show is made possible by donations from Chihuahua Flooring. Chihuahua Flooring at 214 East Clay in the 3rd Street Mall offers a wide variety of products including carpet, ceramic and porcelain tile, vinyl and laminate planks, and vinyl sheet flooring. Chihuahua Flooring carries products for both commercial businesses and residential homes, including brands like Southwind, Deltile, Mannington, and Mohawk. For more information, you can visit online at chihuahuaflooring.com. Call 509-935-8021 or via email through chihuahuaflooring@gmail.com.
Your KCHW morning show made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chihuahua. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW-FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
Picture this. It's January 2022. Your New Year's resolution is to get healthier, but you don't know where to start and you keep putting it off. Next thing you know, it's January 2023. Where did the last year go? You decide this is the year you are really going to prioritize your health. But once again, you just don't know where to start. Let New Health help. New Health is committed to promoting health and wellness within our communities by providing integrated, open access healthcare for all. From your medical, dental, pharmacy, or behavioral health needs, we have what you need to get started, and we will be with you every step of the way as you move through your healthcare journey. Contact us today at 509-935-6004. New Health, celebrating 45 years of bringing healthcare into communities and communities into healthcare.
This is KCHW, Chihuahua, 102.7 FM.
You're listening to 102.7 KCHW, Chihuahua.
The Public News Service Daily Newscast, February the 15th, 2023. I'm Mike Clifford. The deadly shooting spree at Michigan State University Monday night was another tragic American event involving firearms. Our Mark Richardson reports for at least 2 MSU students. It brought up horrific memories.
A lone gunman opened fire at an academic building in the student union, killing 3 students and critically injuring 5 others. It was the second time 2 MSU students have lived through a school shooting. Jackie Matthews was 11 years old when she hid in her classroom at Sandy Hook Elementary in 2012 as a gunman killed 20 of her classmates and 6 adults, including her teacher. Matthews recounted her experience on social media.
The fact that this is the second mass shooting that I have now lived through is incomprehensible. My heart goes out to all the families and the friends of the victims of this Michigan State shooting. But we can no longer just provide love and prayers. It needs to be legislation. It needs to be action. It's not okay.
A second MSU student whose family asked that she remain anonymous survived the November 2021 shooting at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit, where 4 students were killed and 7 others wounded. Several other recent Oxford graduates are believed to be enrolled at Michigan State. I'm Mark Richardson.
As part of New York's 2024 executive budget, Governor Kathy Hochul is aiming to further the state's climate action initiatives.
One particular piece of the budget seeks to advance renewable energy through the New York Power Authority. It would allow the agency to use funds from the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act to help the state meet its energy efficiency goals. But some observers feel this is a step in the wrong direction. Ann Reynolds with the Alliance for Clean Energy New York describes what she thinks the New York Power Authority's role in developing renewables should be.
We would like them to focus on helping us meet our goals by investing in the transmission system. So we're going to need, for example, transmission to bring the offshore wind to shore, to move offshore wind power off of Long Island. That will require investments in the grid there.
Legislation to do this is being considered in the Senate. A previous version of the bill passed the Senate but has languished in the Assembly. Reynolds says it's critical for the state to keep working toward its 2035 climate goals. She notes one aspect of the budget that should help would require all new construction to be all electric in the coming years. I'm Edwin J. Vieira.
According to Democrats on Congress's Joint Economic Committee, repealing the Inflation Reduction Act would lead to increased energy costs for individual households of up to $300 per year. And from Reuters, at least 7 survivors rescued Tuesday from the rubble of the earthquake-hit areas of Turkey, local media reported 8 days after the worst quake in the country's modern history. This is Public News Service. Members of the San Carlos Apache tribe are planning a march and other events this week to oppose what they're calling a destructive mining project that's slated for Oak Flat, that's near the town of Superior in south-central Arizona.
Resolution Copper is a joint venture by Rio Tinto and BHP. Both organizations say the mine will bring thousands of jobs to the area. But Vanessa Nosey with the Apache Stronghold says Oak Flat is ancestral and sacred land. She believes the project would destroy the land and their way of life. Nosey says as a mother of 4 girls, she feels it's her job to protect them and their culture.
If Oak Flat is gone, I can't pass that on. And who we are spiritually, we'd be gone forever. It's the same tactic that the United States government has always used on Indian people.
The protest events begin this Thursday. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals hears an appeal next month that seeks to prohibit the transfer of sacred tribal lands, with Oak Flat at the center of the controversy. The land transfer to Resolution Copper was part of the 2014 National Defense Authorization Act. Apache Stronghold has argued that it violated the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. I'm Alex Gonzalez reporting.
And the U.S. Department of Education has a new fact sheet about religious discrimination from its Office for Civil Rights, and Palestinian advocates are pleased. We get more from our Danielle Smith.
The document does not include a definition of anti-Semitism written by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Dr. Raz Siegel of Philadelphia, who teaches college-level courses on the Holocaust and genocide studies, thinks the decision was made because the definition is, in his words, problematic. He explains the alliance definition includes 11 examples that mention Israel 7 times and conflates criticism of the Israeli state with anti-Semitism.
For decades, since its founding, discrimination, persecution, marginalization, and mass violence against another group, Palestinians.
Finally, our Brett Pivito lets us know advocates in North Carolina and nationally are calling on decision makers to expand the use of climate-informed wildlife crossings.
Federal government research estimates there are between 1 and 2 million collisions between vehicles and large animals in the U.S. each year. Dr. Ron Sutherland, a Durham, North Carolina resident, is chief scientist with the Wildlands Network. He says well-designed crossings can improve safety for humans and animals.
Directional fencing that you put along the highway, if you do it in the right way, you can actually steer the animals to the crossing structures, and the combination of fencing and structures, either overpasses or underpasses, that's what leads to reducing the level of wildlife vehicle collisions by as much as 90%.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported on a great radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find your trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
And we're back for part 2. We got Mike Bentz playing the drums. It's KCHW 102.7. Thanks for being along with us. And, we ended the last segment by talking about part-time jobs for retired people. And then I found this one online. I need 5 people to work for a large event on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of February. 8 hours a day, $700 per day, $2,100 cash for 3 days. Anyone available. Serious workers only. And what's the problem with that, Mike?
Let's see. February 29th, 30th, and 31st.
I got excited for a minute and then, that's horrible. All right.
Well, Loretta complimented us this morning. She said we were being very chatty.
Ooh, wow. That's high praise. Look at that.
Yeah, really.
All right. Let's see how chatty Mike is.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Immediately. All right. First trivia question for you, Mr. Bentz. About a third of Winter Olympic events have this in common. Third of them.
A third of them?
Yeah.
Skates.
No, sir. Key off Winter Olympic events. A third of them actually are this.
Third of them, Winter Olympic events have it in common. Skis.
No, they're played indoors.
Oh.
Oh.
I would have never gotten that.
Yeah, dirty question, huh?
I know. You're a trickster.
What body part is most commonly bitten by insects?
Oh. Well, in my case, it would be my arm.
Much lower.
Oh, ankle.
I'll take that. The foot.
Yeah.
And that ankle's always maybe kind of exposed, especially in the summertime.
Yeah. Have you ever been exposed? Then at least in down south or in Kansas, they call them no-see-ums.
Yes, we have them here too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. Yeah.
We've got one here. My daughter, I think, was bitten 2 or 3 times. I think I got hit 4 times. And we don't know what the bug is that bites us. We've never seen it, but you get the welt the size, like half the size of a golf ball, that then weeps for 2 to 3 days. I mean, it's extremely nasty. We've never seen what has bitten us.
It's almost like a spider bite then.
Yeah, it is. It's a bad
venomous,
one.
yeah.
It's a bad one. You really react to it. And then of course her boyfriend, he's never been bitten. So what's he got? Yeah. That's what I want.
He's got antifreeze for blood.
Something. All right. This happens every 45 seconds in the U.S. It's a bad, scary thing.
Every 45 seconds?
Yes.
I was going to say suicides.
No.
Car accident.
Looking for a house fire. House fires every 45 seconds. Wow.
You know, years ago, this has always stuck in my mind. They were picking on mobile homes, and they said that 25% of all fires are mobile homes. Okay. And then I was thinking, well, doesn't that mean that 75% of the balance are stick built?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give you 15 seconds on the clock, Mike. You have 15 seconds to name 5 finger foods. Go.
Chicken fingers, tater tots, fries, fruit, brownies.
All right, I'll give you that. Good job. All things Mike likes to eat, too.
We do.
That wasn't tough enough for Mike.
I have too many finger foods in my life.
All right, let's see what else I can dig up here. The U.S. hasn't had one, but Israel, New Zealand, India, Germany, Britain, and Argentina all have one. It's something to do with government.
Has to do with governments?
New Zealand, India, Germany, Britain, and Argentina all have one, but the U.S. has never had one. Has to do with government.
Prime Minister?
No, sir.
Is it a position?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it can't be a monarch or a king. Man, I don't know.
They're female leaders. So it could be
really?
a prime minister or a president or something like that. New Zealand, India, Germany, Britain, and Argentina all have female leaders.
Female leaders, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Sweden
does too.
Oh, there you go. Spy the lie, Mike. In chess, the bishop was originally called the Elephant. The largest college football stadium is Michigan's. And a survey found blondes are more likely to sing in the car. Which one's the lie?
Blonde singing in the car.
You're right. It's actually redheads.
Well, I actually knew the answer to the other two, so that one was.
So this one is called, Mike, it's called a brain crusher, and I think you can actually get this one, okay? All right? But just because you have some knowledge of this. When traveling for 2 weeks, Susan visited friends in China, Egypt, Holland, Sudan, and Scotland. While traveling, Susan didn't use any form of air or water transportation. How did Susan do this, and where was she traveling?
How did Susan do this? Where was she traveling?
China, Egypt, Holland, Sudan, and Scotland. With that,
train.
No. There's no trains that go between China and Egypt, I don't think.
Oh, well, I thought there was.
Or Sudan and Scotland.
Drive.
No, you're totally missing it. This is a place, she was somewhere, and it's a place you've actually lived.
Okay. Oh, Texas.
Yes! And why?
Because they're all cities.
That's right. They're all cities in Texas. China, Egypt,
Right.
Holland, Sudan, Scotland. All right. I had to lead you there, but I'll give you credit for that, okay?
Okay.
Just a little bit of credit for it. All right.
Well, a little's better than none.
All right. Let's see. I think I got a couple more here. We're going to do this one for Mike. Five clues. You talk too much. We'll save that. Chris Ford was the first player to do this in an NBA game. Let's see. It was 1979. What'd he do?
Chris Ford?
Yes.
NBA game, 1979.
Played for the Boston Celtics.
He was the first triple-triple.
Well, you mean triple, like 3-point shot?
No. It was like the rebounds, points, and assists.
No, I gave you the answer. He was the first. He made the first 3-point shot when they brought that in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, October 12th.
I thought it was older than that.
Yeah,
1979.
1979, October 12th.
Okay.
All right, capital Pierre, South Dakota is the only example of a capital in a state in the United States that don't share this.
Don't share this?
Yeah, think of the names.
Pierre.
South Dakota.
Pierre, South Dakota. There's no capital. I mean, no Capitol building.
No, there's no letters shared by the state name and the town name. That's kind of tough and lame. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I would never have gotten that one.
All right, one more spot.
That's not, yeah, that's true, I guess. I was trying to think of another one, but you're right. Huh.
All right, spy the lie. Statistically, redheads have less hair on their heads than blondes or brunettes. The first payphone call was placed in 1889. Or the acronym LASER is short for Light Arrangement by Stimulated Emission Radiation. Which one's the lie?
The redhead one.
Nope, that one's actually true. Redheads have less
Really?
hair on their heads. Yep.
Huh.
Well, look at Brandon Hansen. That's just because he missed the show yesterday.
Oh, okay.
All right, the lie was laser. It actually stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Well, that's just lame.
You would know that, but I wouldn't.
All right, pick the worst. To give you some bad scenarios, the goal is to correctly guess which got more votes in the online survey. All right, pick the worst. A restaurant meal with a hair in it or a restaurant meal that's cold?
Restaurant meal is cold.
Actually, the one with hair in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cold was 19%. A hair, 81%.
There's that.
It's bad.
I don't think I've ever had a restaurant meal with hair in it.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
I got an order of onion rings once from a restaurant that had a old Band-Aid.
Ew.
Ooh, that's what I said.
Oh,
that's what I
man. All right, that's definitely the worst. All right, pick the worst. The person in front of you texting throughout a movie or the person behind you crunching popcorn throughout the movie?
Well, I'd have to say the texting.
Yeah, 59 to 41. All right. Talking to someone who has food in their teeth, talking to someone who has food stuck in their beard.
I'm going to say food in their teeth.
Actually, beard won, 61%
Really?
to 39. Yep. What's worse, morning breath or garlic breath?
Morning breath.
I would have said garlic, but because I hate it, but 74% for morning breath. And the pick the worst. Someone sneezing at the salad bar, someone farting on the elevator. Which one's worse?
The elevator.
Actually, sneezing at the salad bar, 56%. The elevator gets 44%, and it wasn't me.
Well, I was thinking one you can escape, the other one you can't.
Yeah. All right. You did fair today, Mike. You did fair. There you go.
Yeah, well, I've had 2 weeks off.
All right.
So.
All right. Moving on to bits and breaks for today. 5 clues that you talk too much. We all know someone where the conversation is heavily lopsided, right? You can't get a word in if you paid for it. They just go on and on and on. Wait, have you ever stopped to think that it might be you? Psychology Today offered 5 indications that you may be a blabbermouth. All right. I hope I don't hit all 5 of these. First, people tell you that you talk too much. There it is. They're honest, and you should be embarrassed. All right. Have you ever had anyone tell you that you talk too much?
Actually, I haven't.
Oh, I have.
I'm usually pretty quiet.
Gotta raise my hand for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
See, I'm more of a listener than a talker.
That's right.
So
taking it all in. All right. In a phone conversation, you notice absolute silence. No, or yeah in a while. That means they may have gone off to the bedroom. I did have a long-winded friend once talk me to sleep, and when he couldn't get me to respond, but he knew we were still connected, he actually called 911 because he thought I had a heart attack. And when the Pachuila police officer knocked on my door, I said, "I'm okay. He's really long-winded." When you think about a conversation later, you recall what you said, but not the response. All right.
Okay.
And you only get along with people that are unusually quiet. Talkative types make you angry because they've stolen your thunder. All right. I don't think either one of us fit into that. There you go.
Nah.
All right. Moving along this morning. Are you with me on bits and breaks there, Mike?
Well, I am, but nothing you just...
I know. I was doing different stuff because we needed some fill. That's the way I am.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You were confusing me.
All right. I want you to tell us about women's purses.
Okay. All right. Well, women's purses. The men's magazine tackled the subject of women's purses.
Okay.
You know that 80% don't like holding a women's purse?
Not surprised.
Me either, actually. And 67% don't like to go in a woman's purse.
Okay. So, guys, why don't you like to go into a purse? Mike, why don't you like to... Are you okay with going in the wife's purse, or is that something that bothers you?
It bothers me. I mean, it's no different than somebody going through my wallet.
See how much money you have?
Exactly.
Do you think your wife feels the same about looking in your wallet as you feel about looking in her purse? Because
No.
I don't think so. I don't think they'd have a problem. I don't think any of my wives would have had a problem at any time going into my wallet and even taking something. But 87%, it is uncomfortable. Yeah, because you might find some feminine products that could be embarrassing. I don't know what the other reasons would be, because they're messy and there's too much stuff in it.
Well, and there's lots of sharp objects in there.
Oh, yeah. You come up with a nail file stuck in your hand.
Right.
I've had women say that before. It's in my purse. Go grab it. And what do you do if your wife says that to you? It's in my purse. Go grab it. Do you go
which of the mini compartments?
Yes. So what is the particular action you do if you're told to do that? Because I know what I do.
I pick it up and take it to her.
Exactly. There you go. That's what I was looking for. All right. I got a fun video I'm going to play after this one, but it is spell and grammar checking your dating profile, something I probably should have done a bunch of times. So here's some typos in dating profiles that could get you in trouble. This one is from a woman. It says, "I'd like to meet a tall man around my age who will put the spank back into my life." I think she meant spark. Spark.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I'm hoping to find a really nice lady who is honest and trustworthy. Trust. All right. I've been cheated on in the past, so the man I'm looking for must be an honest parson, if there are any left. Oh! And one I've actually used on purpose instead of the typo. Please massage me if you like my profile. And now, if you're of mine and Mike's age and you're perhaps dating someone that might be older, this is kind of fun. This is an 80-year-old grandma, all right? And she is getting back from her date, and she's not very happy. I'm going to go ahead and...
I just got back from my date, and it was no good. He didn't even look at my outfit and say that it looks pretty. He was rude to the waiter. He was just a rude person. He didn't even hold the door for me, like a gentleman should. Bottom line, he wasn't a gentleman. Not my type. And he was shorter than me. Only date a gentleman. You don't even know it. When you go out, that's how you find out. And I did not give him a kiss. No way. No way. I just got back from my date and it...
her dress is actually really nice, but I have a problem with her complaining that he was shorter than her.
Shorter. That's what jumped out at me.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, that's right. A true gentleman is not shorter than...
All right, let's see. 4 things you didn't know yesterday with Mike Bentz.
Okay. Well, the world's largest snowflake on record was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick.
Huh.
And it fell in Fort Keogh, Montana in 1887.
How do you prove that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, somebody could have taken a picture of it.
Oh, not in 1886. The flash from the picture would have probably melted it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, and Fort Keogh was named for a person named Miles Keogh, which is a relative of Loretta's.
Ooh, okay.
A little bit of trivia.
I'm confused.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's in Miles City, Montana. Just thought you'd like to know that.
Thank
you.
you.
Can file that.
I have already.
Okay. All right.
In that place that gets deleted when I dream.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to a little bit newer. 2006.
Okay.
A woman named Christy Brinkley received a letter from the U.S. government thanking her for her service in the Gulf War. The only problem? Brinkley is a supermodel and had never served in the military.
Oh. Maybe it was for all the posters the guys put up.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or named their airplane or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, this one, you're the space junkie.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're going to have to explain this to me.
Okay.
A single teaspoon of a neutron star would weigh about 6 billion tons due to the incredibly dense matter.
I didn't
So
have
my
to tell you the
question
answer.
is, how did you measure that?
How would you measure that?
Yeah.
Very carefully. And from the side.
From the side?
From the
Okay.
side.
So I'm thinking you flew by it and you put your arm out and scooped.
Yeah. Lost my arm.
Lost your arm.
All right.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go to the Eiffel Tower. It was originally built as a temporary structure for the 1889 World's Fair and was almost demolished after the event was over.
Oh.
Now they have them all over the world.
Kind of like Riverfront Park.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty much been demolished. All right. Thank you, Mike. Wrapping up today's show, we'll do it with odd news.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go. We're burning daylight.
It's the world of strange. A world gone wacky.
Out here, due process is a bullet.
And some of the scariest people on the planet.
I think you're bluffing. Be afraid. You look mighty pretty when you get mad.
It's your odd news on KCHW.
Just sit back and enjoy the show.
All right, we always start off with the news attack where one sentence true and the follow-up sentence always a bad joke or a big fat lie. Money guy, Mike, I would just share this with you. I got part of my inheritance when I was back visiting in Washington. My sister had given it to my other sister. And one of it included a gold coin from 1904. And it was a eagle on one side and a liberty head on the other. And I looked it up, and it said valued between $3,000 and $80,000. Where do you think my coin came in?
10.
3. Why couldn't I have got the $80,000 one? so depressing. You're all excited looking it up, going, "Did I get a
Yeah, but it's still
$3,000?"
$3,000.
It's still $3,000 all in one coin, and it's worth a little more. I looked it up as the gold value was like $2,800, but the coin value was a couple hundred more bucks because it's a coin.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. News attack. Will you kick us off, Mike?
I will. The name of the California man who won the $2 billion Powerball jackpot has been revealed.
Yay. It's not me.
He won in November.
Finally told somebody?
Finally told somebody, yep. Hopefully he spent the last few months filling out paperwork to have his name changed.
That's probably what it was, trying to avoid his family, you think?
Right. Yeah. Well, they say, that winning the Powerball or winning any kind of a lotto of any size at all is a life-changing event. Most of them bad.
Yes. And it's amazing how fast people run out of money because they go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 8 million Americans admit they got themselves Valentine's gifts. So they bought themselves one. And an overwhelming majority of those people are still waiting for themselves to pop the question. I love me.
Okay, Scott, it's February 15th.
Okay.
Okay, or as I like to call it, a great day to get next year's Valentine's candy at 50% off.
You can do that. You just put the box in the microwave before next Valentine's Day for like 15 seconds, soften them up a little bit.
Soften up a little bit.
Yeah, or leave it in your dash in the car in the sun. Not too long, though. Okay. All right, what did you do for Valentine's Day for Loretta?
Oh, well, we do pretty much the same thing every year. I order a 3-pound box of C's nuts and chews.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that
we
all?
Both love it. What?
Is that all?
Now you're going to make me feel guilty.
Wow, Mike. Wow. If I was Loretta, I'd take that.
Every day is Valentine's Day with my wife.
Okay.
So how do you make it separate?
How do you make it what?
Separate, special.
How do you make it special? I don't know. You're talking to the wrong guy. I was just curious what you were doing. I know what I do. See?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I think it's you. No, it's
me.
It's Valentine's Day was pretty good for Scott. If you count eating Chinese takeout alone, and my sweatpants is pretty good.
Except you don't even have a Chinese restaurant where you live, right?
We do. But I'm glad they can't hear this because it's really, really bad.
Okay.
Really bad. You know what I'm saying? Really bad.
Really bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, Scott, in case you didn't know it, President's Day is Monday.
All right. Another holiday. Wow.
Yeah, another holiday. Yeah. I think it should be a law that you don't get off President's Day unless you can name at least 12 of them.
Ooh. Huh. That'd be tough.
That'd be tough. Yeah. Even for a steel-trap mind like mine.
Yeah. All right. U.S. security officials are still trying to recover debris from the 3 most recent balloons that were shot out of the sky. Before they were shot down, my theory was they were part of an elaborate gender reveal thing. I actually saw somebody do that online last night. It shows the balloon blowing up, and it's all pink smoke.
There have been so many balloon things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. Okay, well, a recent study found that gender stereotypes are established at an early age.
Okay.
Girls as young as 6 already believe boys are smarter.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, see, I always thought girls were smarter.
I did too.
Me too. So, Timmy is so brilliant. Just noted his subtle flowing line combined with his bold use of color in his latest series of finger paintings.
Oh. All right, last one for the news attack. Scientific report found that spending time nude around other people makes you happier. Of course, it won't do much for the people who have to see you. But it makes me happy, and that's all that's important, mostly.
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. On to the world of wacky but true. We don't add anything to these stories but a movie sound effect. And you're first up again, Mike.
Okay, well, we have a jilted wife.
Oh, I hate those.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
In
worst.
Scotland, the jilted wife got revenge on her cheating husband by hanging his underwear in the front garden.
Oh. Huh. People drive by said,
Holy underwear!
think it was holy. All right. Finland. A man was released from prison and immediately began a new crime spree. Over the next week, he stole a car, drove it to 6 separate locations where he stole beer and food and gas. After the 6th burglary, he ran outside and jumped into the back of another car, intending to steal it from the driver. But the driver was an off-duty police officer and totally prepared. Mm-hmm. Bad idea.
I got my 2 hands up. I surrender. Come and lock me up. Here forever.
And some more underwear with Mike.
Okay, in Brazil, a man went into a liquor store to rob the place. His disguise was a pair of men's underwear. The undies didn't fully conceal the man's face. He got away with about $20 and a 6-pack, but the clerk recognized him and the cops picked him up.
Yeah, you shouldn't be a regular when you go to rob the Quickie Mart. It makes it a little easy. Yeah.
I recognize that underwear.
Yes. Better than the story back in January where the porch pirate in Tulsa used panties as a disguise. That didn't work. All right. And what do you say about people who wear underwear on their head?
I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday.
Yup. All right. In China, a guy was set up on a date with a lovely young woman that he really wanted to impress. And since he had no transportation of his own, he stole a motorcycle from in front of a supermarket the evening before they were scheduled to meet. When he arrived for his date the next day, she was furious. Not because he was late, not because he wasn't properly dressed, because he was driving her motorcycle. She called police. Here's was his excuse.
And everybody just look at me like I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I don't know who my real father is.
Yes, that causes you to steal motorcycles. All right, we're going to stay in China, Mike. What do you got?
We are. Okay, a woman in China who for years felt remorse for stealing a bar of soap when she was 12 made up for her crime.
Oh.
And the 30-year-old woman returned to the department store with 100 bars of the same kind she had shoplifted 80 years before.
18 years before.
18 years before.
Because she's only 30.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You know what, Scott?
Yes?
She cleaned up her act.
Oh! I was thinking now I have to go back and replace every little bar of soap I've taken from a hotel. Because I didn't ask. I just took them.
You are an idiot.
All right, Mike, one more. One more, because I know you don't like to do the dirty ones. Can you?
Okay. All right. So, in Pennsylvania,
okay,
Lower Allen. I have no idea where Lower Allen, Pennsylvania is. You live back east. Where's that at?
I have no idea. I've never been there. I've only been through Pennsylvania. They have really bad roads. That's all I know.
Yep, exactly. Okay. A drunk man driving around 5 marked patrol cars and an ambulance at the scene of an accident was found with illegal drugs and firearms in his vehicle. The man struck at least one of those police cars.
So you're drunk, you've got illegal drugs and firearms, and you're going to circle an accident scene in your car till you wreck?
Yeah, and run into one of the police cars.
You know what? I'm tired. Could you just call yourself an idiot?
That was his wife. All right, last one. Father and child were playing by a creek in Wyoming County, still in Pennsylvania. It's funny how everything's attached to today. When what were they doing? They were playing, and their ball rolled into the water. After climbing down to retrieve it, they spotted a black plastic bag. Inside the bag, they found what appeared to be human remains. Father called police and said the black plastic bag had an extremely lifelike human foot sticking out. County coroner and Pennsylvania State Police were called to the scene where, upon opening the bag, the remains in question were determined to be that of a blow-up doll. Oops.
Oh, that's so disgusting. Oh my God, that's the worst thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I thought I hit it better. We'll file that under things you don't want to dispose of and other things you might want to dispose of tomorrow, right here on this channel. these channels, I should say. It's the Three Amigos. It's put your dunce cap on and sit back and enjoy as myself, Ellen Milani, and Chuck Ritchie take you on a little ride into this absurd. Yes, Three Amigos Day happening right here tomorrow. Hope you'll tune in. Other than that, Mike, what you got?
Oh, well, just to remind everybody, the Chihuahua Arts Guild's annual art show is coming up this weekend at the Civic Center, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Basically from 1 to 5, Friday and Saturday, and from 12 to 3 on Sunday. Don't miss our own Chuck Ritchie, Fly Through a Window, at the play The Love Lies and the Doctor's Dilemma at the Chihuahua Center for the Arts.
I bet you he's pretty impressed with all that weight he lost that he can actually fly through windows now.
Yeah, well, he told me the other day he's ran more in this play than he has in his entire life. And I said, "Are you ready for a marathon?" He goes, "No."
All right, stay right here. Join us tomorrow and keep on listening to the great music. It's Northern Lights Public Radio. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Holy underwear!
Oh, is that what you want?
Yup.
Because that's how you get ants.
Your KCHW morning show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chihuahua. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW-FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
And by Chihuahua Flooring. Chihuahua Flooring at 214 East Clay in the 3rd Street Mall offers a wide variety of products, including carpet, ceramic and porcelain tile, vinyl and laminate planks, and vinyl sheet flooring. Chihuahua Flooring carries products for both commercial businesses and residential homes, including brands like Southwind, Deltile, Mannington, and Mohawk. For more information, you can visit online at chihuahuaflooring.com. Call 509-935-8800.